Have you ever heard a murder story narrated by a wall gecko? Yes, a wall gecko, not a detective, not a war veteran, not even a slightly drunk writer in a bar. A literal lizard on the wall watching things unfold in the most, let's say, reptilian way possible. Now imagine that Gecko is the reincarnation of Jorge Luis Borges. Welcome to the Book of Chameleons, a story so peculiar, so philosophical, so delightfully absurd that you begin to wonder if you're the one dreaming. But let's back up a bit. Our narrator is Eulálio, a wall gecko with an unusual amount of insight into the human condition. Eulálio lives on the wall of a house in Luanda, Angola, a house that belongs to Felix Ventura, a man with a peculiar job. He sells memories. Yes, this guy forges the past. You want to be descended from nobility? Done. Want to be a war hero? Covered. Need some old family photos to match your brand new invented lineage? He's got a guy for that. Felix is an albino, a bibliophile, a lover of silence, books, and solitude, not the kind of man you'd expect to be fabricating histories for politicians and businessmen. But that's exactly what he does. He constructs perfect pasts for people whose futures are already secure. In a world where your reputation can mean survival, Felix gives people the armor of a better past. Now one day a stranger arrives. No name, no backstory, just a thick wallet and a very specific request: make me a past. This stranger, we later find out, is a war photographer, a man whose real name is Pedro Gouvei, but who will, for most of this story, be referred to as Jose Bookman. Because when you buy a past, you get to pick a new name too. Naturally. At the same time, Angela Lucia appears, also a photographer. Beautiful, mysterious, and all too coincidentally entering Felix's life right when Bookman does.
Something truly goddamn strange is going on!
Now, our gecko narrator Eulálio is suspicious. He doesn't believe in coincidences. He thinks Angela and Jose are connected. Felix, of course, thinks life just handed him a little romance and a new client in the same week. How lucky. But this is Angola, post-Civil War Angola, a country trying to reinvent itself, not unlike Felix's clients. The war is over, Marxism is gone, but the ghosts of the past haven't exactly packed up and left.
Happy Halloween.
We soon learn that Pedro Gouvei, the mysterious photographer, was once imprisoned by Angolan intelligence. They told him his wife and daughter were dead. He left the country to survive. But when he returns years later, it's not just to get a fake past. He's here for revenge. Someone lied to him. Someone killed his wife. And his daughter? She might not even be dead. So he returns not just to erase the past, but to avenge it. And in this swirl of fabricated identities, literary conversations, reptilian wisdom, and philosophical musings, a murder happens. Yes, the murder mystery the blurb promised finally arrives, 2/3 through the book, quietly, like the shadow of a passing insect. If you blink, you'll miss it. I almost did.
What was that?
Here's a quote that made me laugh, albeit nervously.
You couldn't write a story these days, even a short story, without the female lead being raped by an alcoholic father.
Page 117. Agualusa isn't just poking at cliches, he's jabbing hard. This is a story that resists easy tropes, even if it risks confusing its reader. Another one?
He was an unpleasant sort of character, professionally indignant, who'd built up his whole career abroad, selling our national horrors to European readers. Misery does ever so well in wealthy countries.
Page 117. Tell me that doesn't sting just a little, especially for anyone who's ever read or written poverty porn. And then, this gem that ties the whole book together.
Truth has a habit of being ambiguous too. If it were exact, it wouldn't be human. Nothing seems true that cannot also seem false.
Page 122. This is what the book is about, really. Truth, lies. The blurry space in between where memory, identity, and history dance like shadows on a wall. Or maybe on a lizard.
Can we just talk?
Oh, hell no!
Now, at this point, you're probably wondering what on earth this book is. So let me tell you. The Book of Chameleons by Jose Eduardo Agualusa, translated from the Portuguese by Daniel Hahn, published in English in 2006, originally from Angola. It's 180 pages of philosophical fiction dressed as a mystery, narrated by a lizard, written by a man who clearly spends a lot of time around bookshelves and existential dread. Let me be honest, I really enjoyed the first two-thirds of this book. I was enchanted by the tone, the philosophical meanderings, the oddity of a lizard narrator who shares dreams with his master, and the whole poetic absurdity of selling fake pasts to rich people. And here's the murder mystery angle? Well, I was promised a mystery, and I waited and waited. By the time it arrived, it came and went like a ghost, barely leaving a footprint. It felt like I was tricked into looking for clues in a story that was never interested in being solved.
The name's Sherlock Holmes and the address is 221B Baker Street.
That said, Agualusa brings the narrative threads together in the final pages with a deft hand. When the pieces fall into place, it's not explosive, but it is satisfying. Quiet, subtle, like a gecko slipping into a crack in the wall.
Now you see me? Now you don't.
The real brilliance of the novel lies in its themes. Theme 1, Reinvention. Felix helps people rewrite their pasts. But Angola, post-war, is doing the same thing. When a country's ideology collapses, what remains? Memory, propaganda, myth-making. And somewhere in that mess, real people like Pedro are trying to reclaim their stolen lives. Theme 2, Truth versus Fiction. Every character is lying in some way. Even Eulálio, who claims to be Borges reincarnated. But the lies they tell often say more than the truth. As the narrator says, nothing seems true that cannot also seem false. The novel suggests that we all perform history, whether national or personal, and sometimes the performance becomes more real than reality. Theme 3, Power and Memory. This one hit hard. Those who control the narrative, whether it's government agents or freelance forgers like Felix, also control the future. Pedro's return isn't just about revenge, it's about reclaiming the story of his life. It's about finding out what happened, truly happened, even if the truth is painful. José Eduardo Agualusa was born in 1960 in Huambo, Angola. He splits his time between Angola, Portugal, and Brazil, and works as a writer and journalist. His career has been shaped by travel and translation. He received literary grants to live and write in Goa, Berlin, and Amsterdam, resulting in other novels like Creole, A Strange Stranger in Goa, and Barocco Tropical. You can feel in his writing that he is deeply read, not just in Lusophone literature, but globally. And yet his work remains rooted in the soil and soul of Angola. He doesn't exoticize it, he interrogates it. So, would I recommend the Book of Chameleons? Absolutely, but with a warning. Don't read it expecting a murder mystery with plot twists and red herrings. Read it like you would read Borges, or Calvino, or even Murakami on a philosophical bender. Read it to lose yourself in a world where a lizard can narrate your life, where identity is a currency, and where the truth is never just black or white. It's not a page-turner, but it is a mind-turner. And sometimes that's even better. If you've read the Book of Chameleons, I'd love to hear what you thought of it. Did the murder mystery satisfy you? Or were you just there for the lizard? Sometimes to move forward, all you need is a brand new past. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.